The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Hello there, welcome along to our latest Racing Post Cheltenham Anti-Post Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Siegel and Patrick Mullins, son of trainer Willie, who has been riding out this morning and is just up to the Curragh to give a few more some exercise as the preparation for the big meeting goes on. And obviously Patrick and Willie's horses are central to the race we're talking about today. It's the Betway Champion Chase. I will set the scene first with a show of betting from our sponsors Paddy Power and predictably Douvan very short. He's 1-3. Altior is 3-1. Now these prices are on the basis of non-runner, no bet. So if Altior goes for another race, you back him at 3-1, you get your money back. Don't worry about that. 6-1 is Fox Norton, 6-1 under Sceaux, 12 Hour Mad, 14 Sizing John, 14 Uxixandra, 16 Cider Grugy, 20 Special Tiara, 20 God's Own, 20 Traffic Fluid, 20 Vroum Vroum Mag, 25-1 Black Hercules, and 33-1 bar those. Blimey, it's easy being a bookie's rep. That is definitely my next career move. We'll start with Willie's horses, which obviously dominate the market. Patrick, I guess of all the kind of conundrums you've got and all the horses that might run here, there or anywhere, would we be right in assuming that one of the sort of safest assumptions is that Douvan, provided he's fit and well, will run in the champion chase? Or is there still question marks about his target?
No, I'd say that's where he goes. At this stage of the season now, he ran in two 2-mile races. He's entered in the Tide Cottage at the weekend in Punchestown, and the champion chase is the plan.
And how is he? Do you get to sit on him much?
No, and I don't usually get to work against him, but I did last week. There was kind of an unusual pairing, and I got paired up with him, and he's quite a sight to be beside. And needless to say, the horse I was on was struggling.
I mean, it's also, we had the pleasure of going up to your place last year, and he's also the most beautiful, friendly horse. And I will never, ever forget one of the guys just saying, "Oh, do me a favour, mate, hold that for me." He gave me a rope with this horse on the end. I didn't have a clue who it was. And I'm a bit panicky about horses. I'm not really a horse person. And this horse just beautifully stood there. I was thinking, for God's sake, mate, just stand still. You had Hurricane Fly, who Patrick is a loony, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane Fly would as we all know, he took a chunk out of Dad's derriere there one day before the Champion Hurdle.
Yeah, so he's in the box opposite, going absolutely loopy because it's the open day and he wants to go out and have a run. And I'm standing there holding this horse thinking, blimey, I hope this thing's okay. Anyway, I pick up the rug and look at the label on the box. It's Douvan. I'm thinking, Christ, I'm holding the greatest racehorse in the world. And I still believe that, by the way. You know, Tom, when we went to watch the Pegasus on Saturday night, the commentator said, what a race, what a horse. There is no doubt this is the world's best racehorse. And I'm thinking, no, mate, you haven't heard of Douvan. Now, Tom, where do you stand on Douvan?
Oh, he's brilliant, isn't he? I mean, I don't know, what can you say? Every time he runs, he wins by miles. He looks like a complete athletic freak. His jumping is sensational. He's the perfect racehorse, isn't he? I'd love to see him against Thistlecrack one day. What a race that would be.
It would, but I think, we accept that the 2016-17 plan is champion chase, dominate over 2 miles, and then we'll see. If you were one of these people who likes to have a massive bet, a big prize, a short price rather, thinking that, it's like an investment buying a gilt bond or whatever it is they do in the city, is 1-3 Douvan value?
Not now. I wouldn't back him now at 1-3. I mean, I could see...
I know you wouldn't because you never back things at
No, but on the day when he's 1-3, it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? Yeah, when you know he's up against 3 other runners and he's sitting there with, but now with 2 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is before the start of the festival, I don't see any point in tying your money up at 1-3 now. But come the day, if he was a similar sort of price, why not?
Patrick, what sort of Douvan will we see on Sunday, assuming he runs? A fully wound up, or have you left a bit to work on?
Of course, there's going to be a little bit to work on. It's not the festival, but at Douvan, he doesn't take a lot of work. As you alluded to, he's so easy to train because he's so laid back, and should be all systems go for Sunday.
Excellent stuff. Under Sceaux next. First of all, what did you make of his run at Cheltenham on Saturday?
I think he's the most exciting horse in racing to watch. Just because he wears his heart in his sleeve. He jumped well, but he does have his own little way of jumping. He can be kind of high and he can come out of Ruby's hands. But he's just able to go with that breakneck gallop and keep going. When I was watching him down the back straight and I saw Ruby taking up the running, going up the hill, I was thinking, is that gonna take its toll later on in the race? But the minute you saw the jump he put in the last, he had so much left in the tank.
Absolutely, some horse, isn't he? What do you think the likely target is there? Because obviously, people are listening to this and thinking, well, look, I was impressed with Under Sceaux. I might be looking to put him in an each way multiple for this race or whatever. What? If you're pricing it up, but if you were just saying on the laws of probability, is he going to take on Douvan or is he your Ryanair horse?
Nothing to say. He looked on good ground in the Champions Chase last year. He looked a little slow, and again in Sandown, on good ground he seems to be out of his comfort zone, and his jumping seems to suffer as a result of that. So stepping up to the Ryanair would look a logical option, and I would imagine all things being equal, the ground being how it usually is in Cheltenham, and Douvan getting the Champions Chase, the Ryanair would look the obvious choice for him, especially since he's won over 2.5.
Well, absolutely. I was going to ask you, what did you learn from those two runs in France? I mean, I guess, he won really well and beat a very classy field over 2 mile 5. And then you decided to put him in a test tube and see the 3 mile experiment. And that didn't really work, did it?
It didn't. He probably went himself, and I think Blue Dragon probably took one around and put one on his throat a bit. I do think he would stay if we could get him settling better. And he is settling better. You've seen him twice this year now, he's taken a lead. And, he is becoming more amenable. But he could definitely... I think 2.5 is no problem for him.
Excellent stuff. So, Tom, it sounds like Under Sceaux for Ryanair. So where are the main dangers to Douvan, if there are any?
Well, just going back to Under Sceaux there, Bruce, I think the boys are missing a trick a little bit. I think he's a King George horse, provided it's still at Kempton. Through and through. I think he's jumping, soft ground round there, front runner's track. I think he's perfect for a King George one day. So hopefully next year we'll see him there. The dangers... I was
rather hoping we might see Douvan in next year's
Well, I think
King
both
George,
of them.
Okay.
Both of them, whatever. But I think he's crying out for 3 miles around Kempton. I think he'd be perfect. The main dangers, well, there aren't any.
Aren't any.
It's simple, isn't it? Perhaps if I was to throw one out there, it was the horse that finished second to Under Sceaux on Saturday, Uxie Zandra.
I'll tell you what, we'll have a quick break and we'll come back and look at some of the other contenders. But we think at the moment that Douvan's the good thing, but there is plenty more to talk about because there's each way and there'll also be some betting without.
Let Paddy Power help you get Cheltenham ready with their new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Get instant access to your winnings at ATMs, online or even in your local supermarket. 18 plus, gambleaware.co.uk, T&Cs apply.
OK, so Tom Siegel thinks that Douvan is pretty much bomb-proof in the Champion Chase, but was very taken by Uxie Zandra, which I think we all were, because I think going down the hill you were kind of thinking, well, poor old boy's had his time, but the way he stayed on was terrific, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm a massive fan of his. You go back to his Ryanair form, the time was great. He beat Don Cossack hollow. He's a really, really good horse. He had a visor on for the first time that day. Obviously, we got the bounce factor to talk about here, and there is obviously... He's much more likely to run in the Ryanair. But if anything was to happen to Douvan, or it's to seriously cut up to 2 or 3 runners, you could see him running here. And he's a really good horse. He really is. That Ryanair form, Cheltenham form, he's got tons of it. All his best forms at Cheltenham. The ground's good. Had a visor on. I could see him coming second, that's for sure.
Patrick, let me ask you a question about Altior. From a Willie Mullins stable perspective, which race do you hope he runs in? And you're not allowed to say none.
Altior, I mean, I suppose you're not hoping he goes there, but he'll probably go for the Arthur, isn't it? I mean,
You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think that's favourite. But would you rather take on Min or whoever else you've got in the Arkle, or would it actually send a slight shiver down the spine if the Hendo team said, no, we're going to take on Douvan?
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be an unknown. I mean, look, with Douvan, you're always very confident, but Altior has looked very special, hasn't he?
He certainly has. Tom, what do you think of Altior, both in terms of his ability, his potential to cut the ice in this race, and his likely target?
Well, I think I've written a few times over the last few. I think we're in an incredibly lucky era for in jumping. I think we've got three of the most outstanding horses I've ever seen: Douvan, Altior, and Thistlecrack. I think all three of them are absolutely sensationally good. There's no chance Altior will run in any other race bar the Arkle. I don't think. Obviously, I don't even think if Douvan went wrong, he'd run in the champion chase myself. I think that's the way Nicky tends to. He tends to keep novices to novices nearly all the time. So for me, the three of them are absolutely sensational. We're incredibly lucky to see them all.
But they won't be meeting at Cheltenham in March.
Not this year, no.
OK, so if we think Altior's going for the Arkle, we think Sceaux's going for the Ryanair, I guess it means Fox Norton is probably, as they line up on the day, the likeliest market rival to Douvan. What do you think Fox Norton might be able to achieve in this race, Tom?
Oh, blimey. I put on the Arkle last year, and to be honest, Fox Norton wasn't within hailing distance of Douvan. He couldn't get, it wasn't even a contest. He's improved a bit. Sure, he has. I mean, he started with first run for Neil Holland was really good, and then obviously went to Colin Tizard, but he's had a setback. It's asking a lot for him to suggest that he can beat Douvan. It's a different level altogether, totally different level altogether that he's been taking on. It's only a handicap, and it wasn't a great race he won at Cheltenham back in the spring. So, look, he's not one for me each way at 6-1. I think there's, we'll
talk about your value contenders in that case at some point. But just, will we even be getting three places in this race, Tom?
It might not do. We definitely might not do. We haven't in the past. I could see 6, 7, 8, 7 runners easily in this. I mean, a lot depends on Gary Moore. He's got 3, hasn't he? 3 there. I mean, Willie's got a load. Patrick will be able to tell us, but I can't imagine anything else will run bar Douvan. And so we're looking at a lot of horses that are going to come out of this, and we could be looking at only 2 places for sure, yeah.
Patrick, let's just square that one off then. Would you expect that Douvan would be your only hope, or might one of the others come along for the ride?
I would think he'd probably be his most obvious one. There's nothing else that stands out there. It's nothing else that stands out obvious at this stage anyway.
I mean, Champagne Fever, Black Hercules, they'd have other targets, I guess, would they?
Black Hercules, we tried him over 2 miles at Christmas, didn't appear to work. That kind of backfired. Champagne Fever, I would imagine his days of winning a champion chase are probably gone. And we might keep his sights a little lower. And Vroum Vroum Mag, obviously, I'd imagine she's going for the mares. I don't see why she'd go champion chase.
No, fair enough. I think the thing is with Vroum Vroum, Tom, everyone's been saying, well, isn't it amazing? She could literally run and probably contest in any one of about 8 races. But I think, would you expect that we're looking more and more down the mares route with her, as Patrick says there, Tom?
Well, she hasn't run over fences since, God knows when, November last year, was it? November 2015. It's asking a lot of her to throw her into a Cheltenham Festival chase without a run over fences. You'll have to be chasing pretty soon. I doubt, I can't see her running in any other race than the mares, really.
And Patrick, are we in, is she in danger of becoming a bit disappointing now? I mean, that wasn't, the best performance she's ever put in by a long time at the weekend, was it, at Doncaster?
It wasn't, but she got the job done. I think that's a good horse to do. They win even when they're not at their best. In my view, she was very unlucky in the Hatton's Grace. If you watch it back, just after the third last, Barry kind of puts Ruby in a bit of a pocket, and Apple's Jade, Vroum Vroum has to make up 5 or 6 lengths on Apple's Jade. I think the best horse for the second on the day. So that's the only time she's been beaten. I think...
keep the faith.
I think keep the faith. I wouldn't be knocking Maggie just yet. No.
Okay, jolly good. I won't. I know that she's particularly Brendan Duke, who appears on these postcasts. If I asked him that question I just asked you, he would have absolutely jumped down my throat. We'll look at some of the other contenders now. And Tom, you touched upon the fact that Gary Moore's got 3 there. Any of those got place pretensions, and if so, which one?
Well, Ahmad was very good last year, wasn't he? And I thought he ran a good race after a couple of mistakes at Sandown behind Sceaux in the Tingle Creek earlier on the season. But he just doesn't, he took him out of this race again when they reshipped it to Cheltenham, didn't they? There is an issue with him going left-handed. His best form seems to be right-handed. I mean, he was okay at Plumpton one day, but we are talking about Plumpton. We're not talking about proper quality competition he was up against. He's a good horse, definitely, but I think he wants further. I think could set the race up for Douvan myself. I think he'll go off fast, and Douvan will sit behind him, and that will be the end of him. Sada Grugy is how old is he now? He's 11 now. So, he was winning champion chases. I hate to say it, but it was a weak champion chase that he won. He's up against a different kettle of fish in Douvan this year. I don't think he can win. And Traffic Fluid, we haven't seen. He's won once in 3 years or something, and 417 days off the track. I don't know what to make of him. What do you make of him? I think he'll probably end up in the Ryanair if he goes there at all as well. So there's big question marks against all those three.
OK. Now, which other Irish contenders, not Willie Mullins' horses, Patrick, might emerge here, do you think, to provide some sort of threat? I guess Special Tiara will run there. Sizing John, would you think you're more likely to have to meet him in the Ryanair?
Sizing John's a very interesting horse, and probably a very underrated horse. If there was no Douvan, he'd have 7 more Grade 1s to his name or something. So they stepped him up in trip. Last year, was it an Atria, and he disappointed, but they did it again, or Jesse Harrington did it again in Thurles, and he won well and looked like the step up in trip suited him when he beat, I think, was it Sub-Lieutenant?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's very solid form. Obviously, Sub-Lieutenant ties in with Outlander and Dagenham, so I'd imagine Sizing John will go for the Ryanair, and I think he'd have to be taken very seriously there.
Yeah, he's decent, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's going to run in the Irish Gold Cup next. I think they're going to try him over 3 miles, and therefore, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. If he stays that trip, you never know. It's why Thistlecrack getting beaten the other day. It's put open, this Gold Cup now.
Certainly is. Tom, now tell us more about the horse that you think could provide
Ask Patrick.
the value.
He knows more about this horse than me.
No, go on. We'll have you first, and then we'll get Patrick. So tell us more about Tell Us More.
Well, when I did the race a few weeks ago, there was a non-runner, no-bet concession. Douvan's going to win, so I was looking for something at a big price. Now, it was really quite hard to find one at a big price. I don't know the inside story with him. We haven't seen him for 129 days, but he was quite good. He beat a good horse. The Game Changer, the Game Changer's not a Douvan by any stretch of the imagination, but he's been finished behind Douvan, and he beat him hollow at Naas earlier on in the season. He's got some good form. Patrick will know more about him because he was with Willie last year. He ran in the Supreme behind Douvan. He wasn't unfancied. He was a 10-1 shot or something that day, and he ran okay. He made him. If you watch the video back, coming to 2 out, he's going better than anything. He's well, bar Douvan obviously, but he's going really, really well. It seemed to me. Patrick might be able to help me here, that something went wrong after he jumped 2 out there, because he stopped really quickly. But he was a good horse. He was a good point-to-pointer. He won his bumper. Patrick rode him to win his bumper at Gowran. And I just thought he's a talented horse that I think he was 66-1. If he got there and the ground was good, he might finish in the frame. But as I say, we're talking Douvan here, and it's hard to see him getting beat.
Patrick, if punters have taken Tom's advice and back Tell Us More each way, do they have half a chance of nicking a few quid on the place money, do you think?
He's one of the most frustrating horses I've ever sat on. He showed so much ability at home, and when he won his bumper, I got down off and I thought this could be anything. He's a horse. He's very difficult to keep right. We would have had a lot of physio work done with him, and it appears that sometimes we didn't find the problem, but whether there was some sort of wind issue. Because as Tom says, he could travel very well to about the second last, and then just peter out. You saw it when he got beaten by McKinley in the Grade 1 in Naas. You saw it again in the Supreme Novices. I mean, I fancied him to be placed. I thought he'd be second or third behind Douvan that day. He has the engine, but the chassis just doesn't seem to stand up to it for some reason.
Okie doke. Right, a quick break, and then we'll get the 1, 2, 3 off the lads.
Let Paddy Power help you get Cheltenham ready with their new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Get instant access to your winnings at ATMs, online, or even in your local supermarket. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
OK, so we are summing up the champion chase. Tom Siegel, just put punters in the picture. What's going to happen here?
Well, Douvan's going to win easily. The three next...
How far? How easily?
Well,
13 lengths?
No, you can only win races by how far you can win them. It'll be, if it's on good ground, 5, 6 lengths, something like that. But the next 3 best horses, I all have doubts about them. Under Sceaux, Sizing John, Uxie-Zandra, they all might go elsewhere. So therefore, I'm hoping that my Tell Us More hits the frame at a big price. Apart from that, You know, it's quite hard to find anything with too much, positivity of going into the race. I suppose Fox Norton, but he was injured and we haven't seen him for a bit. Hopefully we might see him in a trial beforehand, but at the moment it's Douvan's to lose.
Yes, it's certainly not the most exciting race from the anti-post perspective, even if it is the most exciting race in terms of seeing a horse of absolute phenomenal quality. Patrick, how do you hope and expect the champion chase to play out?
Well, hopefully all things being well, Douvan can do the business. I think Sire de Grugy could get in for second. I thought his run in Sandown against Sceaux was very, very good, and obviously being a former champion chase winner, he handled the track, and they'll probably ride him to be coming on at the end, whereas they're laying back off Armad. And I thought again, Fox Norton has festival form, so I thought he might complete the placing.
Excellent, jolly good stuff. And Patrick, one question about Douvan. What's the general feeling in terms of what he might go on to achieve after this season? I mean, could you see him stepping up a bit?
It's not impossible. I mean, look, we've made no bones about how much we think of him. You're always trying to find the next Cato Star, and Cato Star went for a champion chase before he stepped up and tripped. So it's not impossible, but we'll get over March first and we'll see how we are then. Exactly.
And one more question, Patrick. The mighty Melon, who is going to make or break my Cheltenham, because I backed him ages ago. That was a nice introduction on Sunday, wasn't it?
Fantastic. It was great to get him out. We had to get him out a bit later than ideal, but I mean, he jumped brilliant. He did step at the last a bit, but Ruby, probably trying to teach for Cheltenham, you can just see he drops the gear coming into it, which often is very difficult for horses on their debuts. And while he wasn't pretty to look at, he got his legs out. He knew where his legs were and didn't lose any ground, landed away with him. So it wasn't the strongest race in the world, but he can only beat what's there, and he did it very, very impressively.
He did jump absolutely beautifully, didn't he, Tom?
Yeah, he's good. It's just unfortunate he's going to be second to Charlie Parks, isn't it?
You can't see beyond Charlie Parks, can you?
I love him. I think he's great, yeah.
Who?
Charlie Parks.
He's a juvenile.
The 4-year-old.
You'll like him when you see him, Patrick, I tell you.
Okay.
Blimey, Patrick's never even heard of the horse that you and Frank Hickey from Paddy Power think is the second coming, Charlie Parks.
That's a 4-year-old. Is that a juvenile?
Yeah. But they've got
your favourites.
They don't do juveniles at Clesutton. Don't forget that, Tom.
I know, yeah.
Okay, jolly good. Thank you very much, Patrick. Now, we've got the Super Bowl postcast we're doing tomorrow. We've got the absolute experts, Phil Agius and Ian Wilkinson on that. But, Tom, you love a bit of NFL as well, don't you? So what's going to happen on Sunday?
It's Atlanta all the way for me, Bruce. I'm on at big prices, and I'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And if they don't win, I really will be in trouble.
Does the NFL do it? Does the NFL do it for you, Patrick?
Who's playing the halftime show?
That's a good question,
Good
actually.
question. Gaga.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I won't get up for that, so.
You'll be having an early night, will you? Jolly good. Well, we've also got the football postcast Thursday, and on Friday, Keels and the gang will be back for the weekend postcast, so join us for that. Thank you very much indeed, Patrick Mullins and Tom Siegel. Thank you very much for joining us.
The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.